Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Connection Week 176. It's good to be here with all of you as well. Thank you, thank you. Good to be together as always. And I'm really excited to talk about today's topic. It's definitely one that we have talked about in many ways, and yet it's one that I hear so often from women, and I did promise this woman that I would answer her question. There was a lot of stuff that had been like not clouding, but piling up. If you've ever sent me an email and I haven't responded to you, please know that it's not because I don't care. It's that my email is just not my friend. It like floods, and then I don't get to answer all of them. But know that I do care, and you're always welcome to send another email. And what I definitely want to be more conscious of is making sure that I am I can use like using those emails for coffee and connection questions, and also to really like always like get an understanding of how I can best help you. And I just want to do a little I'm thinking, and you can tell me if this interests you. I'm thinking based on a lot of the questions that I've been getting lately, especially after the turn conflict into connection, which definitely speaks to what this question is about. But in conflict into connection, and like in all the master classes that I often do, what I'm really looking to help you understand is that the things that you may be feeling are what makes your husband abnormal, or the things that make you feel like something's wrong. Very, very often, they are actually very normal and very dealable, right? Let's put it that way. It's not doesn't have to be as, oh my goodness, this is so crazy as we think it is, because the way we often expect relationships to look are just like they're just that. They're expectations, they're perfections, they're these visions that we have that don't actually reflect the way people are, right? And that doesn't mean that there aren't issues, and that doesn't mean there aren't things that need to be, or that can be worked through, dealt with, shifted, changed. Sometimes there are, very often, because we come into a relationship and we don't have relationship skills, right? Unfortunately, we don't. People always ask me, kind of, why aren't we teaching? Why didn't we learn these things in school, right? We don't learn skills in school. We don't, like most of the time, college classes are all focused on nida and when to go to the mikvah, and how much are we actually, and I'm not saying that is the role of college classes, but how much time are we spending, right, to learn relationship stuff, but how much time, and of course learning nida is important, but how much time are we also spending learning how to have a relationship? And the truth is that even those classes wouldn't necessarily help if we did have them, we because of the romanticized, perfectionized vision of relationships, it doesn't matter how much we would learn. We'll still have expectations of the way things need to look, and won't really understand how to use the skills until we're in it, until we're dealing with it. Right. So it's very important to have um, so yes, we will some need to learn tools. We will need to learn skills. There are things that aren't working, that aren't functionable, that we need to deal with. And yet that doesn't mean that anything's wrong or broken. It may be that there's we have to figure out a way to be that works. We need to figure out the way to relate to each other. We need to figure out how to deal with challenges. We need to figure out how to deal with unhealthy boundaries or entanglement. We need to know how to deal with these things, and we don't know it on our own. Now, what happens every time I do one of these master classes, I get women emailing me saying, "Yeah, yeah, but Hannah, like my husband," and then all the ways that they think their husband is outside of what I was describing, even though what they're describing is exactly what I was describing, right? So I understand that it's very easy to think that, yes, what you're talking about is like the little things and not, how crazy this is. Now, again, I'm not denying that there aren't bigger problems that people have. And I'm not denying that there aren't real struggles that we're dealing with, right? I am not just talking about annoyances. What I'm talking about is that even the struggles that we have that feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Very often they're happening because we don't have these skills, and it can turn into a situation where we really feel like, we have to walk on eggshells, or we have to keep everything happy, or we have to don't upset him, and we can end up feeling like we're not in a situation where these tools will actually work. So I really am thinking to do like some type of masterclass, some type of program, something. Let me know if this interests you. Like really speaking towards these kinds of relationships that feel like where there's like real like fear involved, like where you feel like I can't upset him, or I don't want to make a mistake, or like, oh, what if people found out, or like that feeling of like, I can't just be. I can't just be. I have to, the phrase is called, walking on eggshells, right? That feeling of like, I have to keep everything happy. I have to keep him calm. I have to make sure he doesn't get upset at me, at the kids, like all of that stuff. If that's something that you're interested in, if that's something that, you are feeling in your life at all, please let me know. Send me a private message, send me an email. Let me know, because I want to know if this is a topic that is, speaks to a lot of women. Okay. So, and just know that even that if you're the one thing, oh no, I don't want to be the only one. I know you won't be the only one, because I already get so many emails like that. Okay. And I want to help you. I want to support you in that type of situation, because there are answers to it. Okay, so going into the question that I wanted to share for today, the question went like this. My husband and I had a random discussion last night. I felt so frustrated and annoyed with his way of thinking. Not only were we not on the same page, I felt like we were on actually two different planets. I think someone wrote a book about that. His reasoning made no sense to me, and I felt like perhaps he's, brackets, almost not normal. What can I do to help regulate my feelings so that I can handle him? So, first of all, I want to really acknowledge the woman who wrote this question, because what I'm already hearing in the question is an acknowledgement of, oh, I'm judging my husband. I'm hearing him as almost not normal. I'm hearing something's wrong. And how can I regulate myself? There's already a desire to be more conscious of the way that you're acting, and of create like not and not creating disconnection and judgment and all of that stuff. So I want to answer the question, and I want to answer it bit by bit. I want to start out by saying that it is very normal to have a conversation and feel like you and your husband are on different planets, right? Like maybe he's from Mars and you're from Venus, kind of thing, right? There's a reason that John Gray chose that title, right? Because, and I'm sure that's what you were, I don't know if you were referring to that, but I'm going to assume you were. The reason is because it's so normal to feel like, oh my gosh, we're really different. Like, this is crazy. Like, how I can't believe you would actually think that way. And it's wild because, we can go into marriage assuming that, like, yeah, sometimes our husbands will be a little different than us. I'll have a bit of a different perspective. Some of us really don't expect to ever disagree on anything, or we expect our husbands to always agree with us on, at least I would say, the important things. And then all of a sudden something big comes up, or something happens, and you're so sure that you're going to be on the same page, or you're so sure your husband is going to think about an issue the exact same way that you do, or at least similarly. And then all of a sudden he says something that you're like, what the heck was that? Right? So the first thing is to really catch the fact that you're going like, what was that? Right? And get curious, like if it really throws you for a loop, if it really makes you go, that's not normal, or that's not okay, right? Which is not what the woman said, but I really want you to like catch if those kind of things happen. A lot of times when we're thinking that's not okay, it may be because our husband just said something that like we always judge the people that thought that way. Maybe our parents judged the people that thought that way. Maybe our teachers judged the people that thought that way. When we hear them, it's like really throws us, because we're like, oh no, 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 you can't be those people. You can't be, you can't talk in that way. You can't be like the people my parents always badmouthed at the Shabbos table, or you can't be like people I always said I would never be married to, right? And it's important to understand that in these situations, this is an exact time to literally turn conflict into connection, right? When your husband says something and you're like, what? Like, where did that come from? This is like, we're totally different. And notice, totally different in some ways is always going to sound not normal. Okay, here's a really important point about human psychology. We all think that we are normal. Every person thinks that they are normal. If you ask almost anyone of marriageable age, what are you looking for? What will they always tell you? I want someone normal. I just want someone normal, not to this or to that, just normal. And everyone will say that, even though their definition of normal could be all over the spectrum of whatever it is they're talking about, right? I just want someone who's like normal religious, even though they might be talking about somebody who's like very far to the left, to the right, to the, modern, to the Haredi. It doesn't matter. They'll all use the word normal, right? I want someone who's like has like a normal job. What does normal mean? Right? So whenever someone uses that word normal, you always have to ask, well, what does normal mean to you? Right? See, here's the thing in psychology. We all think that we are normal. Whatever I am, whatever I feel, I think that that is normal. And everyone here or here is not normal. I don't think of it as this is what I am and you're that way and you're that way. It's I'm normal and everyone else is weird. I'm normal, everyone else is not normal. I'm normal, everyone else is too whatever, too strict, too lenient, too right, too left, too conservative, too Republican, too Democrat, too whatever the words are you want to say, right? It doesn't matter what it is. We think that we are normal and everyone else is not normal. So it's when you hear yourself thinking that's not normal, that's where we can lean in and wait, that means it's different. It's not normal, it's different. So it's good to catch that that's not normal, to be like, wait, this just means it's different. And remember, different doesn't make it wrong. So then you get to lean in and get to learn something about your husband you never knew before, or something about your husband that you never bothered to get to learn about before because you were too busy judging him and thinking like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? Can't believe I'm married to him, right? And you get to lean in and get curious. Like, what is he sharing? Where does that come from? Ask him questions, but not in a like, what? Why would you say that kind of way? Right? Not in a judgment kind of way, in a curious way. What's this about? Let me understand. Where did you like, what does that mean to you? Where's that, like really asking questions, like, because you want to understand him. Not to change him, careful, not to argue his points, not to debate, right? Not to like convince him otherwise, but to get to know him. That's the basis of connection. Conflict would be debating, proving, arguing, crying, yelling, judging, all of those things. Connection is about curiosity and realizing that the two of you having different opinions, it's okay. Now you're gonna say, but you could say like, "Oh my gosh, but this is about what kid school we're sending our kid to, or how we're gonna marry off our kids, or how we should spend our money, or where we should go on vacation." Or yes, and so you're gonna have to deal with those differences. But the only way to deal with those differences is to understand where you're each coming from. So take a deep breath. Acknowledge that nothing has to be solved today. You're not fixing the problem. You're learning about it, and then you can get curious. You can get curious with yourself about what you believe. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. Okay. You can get curious. You can get curious with with your husband, like, what is this about? And the more you hear him and share yourself with him, not from a place of proving who's right and who's wrong, but from a place of understanding each other, then you can look to work through the challenges. Now, all of these pieces, like how to do that, is something I really go into depth with my clients on. It's like each of those pieces has like a whole module in the Absolutely Feminine program, right? How to understand yourself so that when he's sharing himself with you, you don't feel threatened and feel like you have to fight with him because you've already respected and are clear on what you believe so it doesn't threaten you to hear him. And then how to actually listen to him, how to lean in and be like, wait, let me understand you. Let me really know that different doesn't make it wrong and look to understand what's going on for you. And then how to communicate to him how you feel about it. And then look to create a third alternative together, right? The reason that each of those has a module is because they really are, like going back to what I said in the beginning, they're skills that we didn't learn in school. They're skills we don't necessarily know how to do. We're used to seeing people fighting. We're used to debate team, right? That we did learn in school, right? How to put on a debate. We're used to being told what's right and wrong, but not necessarily how to work together, right? We're used to hearing that like people who think things differently than you are wrong. We're used to thinking we have to stand up for ourselves. We're used to feeling like if I don't take a stand, I'm going to be walked all over, which often we may have felt as a kid, right? We had to fight for what we wanted, or we're used to just being like, okay, I'm just going to keep the peace because that's what we were taught to do. And being able to instead really look to share and listen and figure out what's going to work for both of us is a whole nother world. It's a whole other world and a whole different reality. So when you ask the question, how can I regulate myself? So going back, I would say number one, you want to look at, whoa, if I'm feeling dysregulated, then something he said has triggered me. That's a whole other topic, right? Something has triggered me. So let me get curious. What did I just make that mean? Right? What did he say? What about what he said reminded me of something that upset me, right? Like I said, it made me think like, I can't believe you're one of the people that think that, right? What did it trigger in me when he said that? What am I making it mean? And then leaning in to look to understand him instead of standing in that like this isn't normal. On totally different planets, like as if that's a bad thing. Instead, you could be like, wow, we're so different here. Like that could actually become a very interesting discussion, right? Think about it. If the two of you agree on everything, that's kind of boring, right? If you think of it, like you go out for coffee and it's like, so what do you think about this thing? Yeah, right? Oh, yeah, I think that too. Okay. So there's nothing to talk about, right? Maybe you could talk about it for like 2 minutes, but like when you really see things differently, that is a great conversation. As long as you both can hear and listen and share lovingly, respectfully, and with empathy and curiosity. Okay, so that's what I'm going to invite you to try on. I'm going to invite you to practice that in the moments where you feel like your husband is from a different planet, which can happen a lot because guess what? It's almost like we are because we're so different, come from different places, different personalities, different genders, different upbringings. We're different people, and different people are going to have different ways of looking at things. Okay. And as you practice it, notice which skills you're like, yeah, I got this. I'm good at this. And which skills you feel you could use some extra support in. And you're welcome to put a comment. Let me know like which skills you feel you need more support in, because then I can know which skills we can give more attention to and develop further. Okay. Awesome. Thank you all for joining me. You're welcome to send questions that you would like answered on Coffee and Connection. It is a pleasure to be here with all of you and connect with you. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your support. Thank you for showing up. And I can't wait to see you all next week. Until then, may we all be blessed to live, love, and be loved with all our hearts. Goodbye for now.